In 1964, I was 20 years old. My name is Andrew Goodman. I came to Mississippi to help register African Americans to vote. After the Civil War, African Americans were given the right to vote, but people in the South began to say that African Americans couldn't vote unless they passed a literacy test and paid poll taxes. You see, these literacy tests were actually very hard tests of American history, but I bet most of your teachers, black and white, would fail. And most blacks were poor, so they couldn't afford poll taxes either. Whites weren't asked to take literacy tests or pay poll taxes. These tests and taxes kept African Americans from voting from 1870 to the 1960s. When I began to hear about all this, I knew I needed to do something. I had to get involved, so I began to work with two men. One, a civil rights worker named Michael Sherman, also like me from New York, and the other, a man named James Chaney, an African American from Mississippi. One night, when we were out leaving town, we were pulled over by the local sheriff's deputy. He said we were speeding, but we weren't. This was the summer that the Ku Klux Klan had firebombed 20 African American churches, and the FBI referred to it as the Mississippi Burning. At 10:25 that night, though, he let us go, but I remember him following us around his patrol car. After we got outside of town, he pulled us over again. He didn't give us a reason. He just pulled out his gun and forced us to get to the patrol car. We were taken to a real secluded spot where another car was waiting for us, and we were ordered to get in. I remember when the car stopped, being pulled out of the car, and there had to be at least 20 men there. They began to beat on James Chaney terribly, calling him all the names I had heard blacks called before. Eventually, James stopped screaming, but they kept beating him. Finally, a man pulled out a gun and they shot James. And then they shot Michael. And then they shot me. The next day, we were reported missing, and the whole country would be watching Mississippi to find out what had happened to us. My mother would sit at home, waiting to hear that I was okay, but she never would.
Eventually, the man was put on trial. Only a few of them saw the inside of the jail. The people in Mississippi, a lot of them anyway, felt we were causing trouble and we deserved accountability.
Like I said, no easy road to freedom. When the country finally found out what happened to us, people were angry. So, in 1964, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, giving more rights to African Americans. And then, in 1965, 1 year after my death, Congress passed the Voting Rights Act, making literacy tests and poll taxes illegal. Now everyone could vote, regardless of the color of their skin. 95 years after it went to the Constitution, voting for African Americans became a reality. I'd like to think James, Michael, and I had a little something to do with that.
You know, I've been thinking, maybe I need to get involved. People must change.
Now you're making sense. I must admit, the anger of black people still is.
Of course we're angry. For 300 years we have been kicked around in this country, and only now people are listening to us. You'd be angry too.
But those things that Malcolm X says, it sounds like he wants blacks to use violence, and Dr. King has never talked like that. He even said that horrible thing after President Kennedy died.
If you ask me what I think about the murder of the president, I simply say the leader of a nation that exploited black people for centuries, this is simply a case of chickens coming home to roost.
I think you're a bright man and a gifted speaker, Malcolm. But that comment about my brother, that's too much.
Bobby, I'm sorry to hear that about your dad, brother. But his death is simply another example of the corrupt nature of your race.
Blaming my brother for the race problem in this station is no answer.
Bobby, I do not lay the blame of the the blame to either your slain brother, but rather to what he represents. People have labeled me as irresponsible, saying that I tell black men to use violence. Bobby, I've never advocated violence, but merely said that the black man should get what belongs to him by any means necessary.
You mean violence. That is what people assume you mean. And when Malcolm X speaks, people listen.
Bobby, this is what I mean. I mean by any means necessary. If it allows society to call me irresponsible, then so let it be. A black leader who white men call irresponsible is one who oftentimes does not get any results. If being irresponsible means that I can change a few things, then Bobby, call me whatever.
I have no arguments with you, Malcolm. My brother was killed, and this is a violent decade. Whenever men take the law into their own hands, the loser is the law. And when the law loses, freedom languishes. You and I need to show everyone that whites and blacks do not need to hate, that the problem does not include all whites.
Bobby, I don't believe that either. There was a time when I did. There was a time when I said that all white men were devils. I said it, and I meant it, but I've changed. I now see that the color of a man's skin, but rather the color of the nature of his heart. If his heart is colored by the blindness and ignorance of racism, his actions will follow. If you ask me to be content, I cannot.
If any man claims the Negro should be content, let him say he would willingly change the color of his skin and go to live in the Negro section of a large city. Then and only then has he a right to such a claim.
I look around, Bobby, and I see a situation getting worse. I should know. I have lived all things that young men now see. I was an orphan. I sold drugs. I've robbed people. I get no respect for anything in this world. Figure each year was these ghettos counted me as a teenager. And did I see any heroes? No. I believe that it would be almost impossible to find any one of a black man who lived further down in the mud of human society than I, or a black man who has been ignorant more than I have been, or who has suffered the anguish of life. But it's only with the deepest darkness that the greatest joy can come. It is only after slavery and prison that the sweetest appreciation of freedom can come.
Those don't sound like words of hate to me, Malcolm. They sound like words of hope. You can see things as I wish to. Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream things as they are not and ask why not.
And if the world is not ready for your dream,
Then we show others how to keep the dream alive. That way the dream and our spirit will live forever.
My name is Arthur Davis, and I knew Malcolm. The 1960s were a violent time in a decade. In 1968, Martin Luther King was cut down by a bullet as he was organizing another protest in Memphis, Tennessee. A few months later, Robert Kennedy met the same fate as his brother, John, and was killed in Los Angeles. And in 1965, Malcolm X was also killed as he gave a speech. And in that audience was his wife and his young children. And as an actor, they asked me to speak at his funeral. And this is what I had to say. Here at this final hour, in this quiet place of Harlem, has come to bid farewell to one of the brightest hopes, extinguished now from us and gone forever. It is now in the memory of a man that this belligerent, unfortunate, but nonetheless proud community has found one braver, more gallant young champion than this Afro-American, who lies before us unconquered still. I say that word as he will want me to again, Afro-American. There are those who will consider it their duty as friends of Negro people to tell us to revive him, to flee even from the presence of his memory, to save ourselves by writing him out of history and to honor in this stormy, controversial, and bold young captain. And we will smile. Oh yes, we will smile. Many will say, turn away from this man, for he is of trouble. He's a demon and a monster and a subverter and an enemy of the black man. And we will smile. Yes, we will continue to smile. They will say that this man is of hate, a fanatic, and a racist who can only bring evil to cause for which we have struggled. And we will answer them and say, did you ever talk to Malcolm X? Did you ever really listen to Malcolm X? Did he ever do a mean thing to you? Was he ever himself associated with public disturbance or violence? For if you did, you would know Malcolm X. And if you know him, you would know why we must honor him. And we must honor him for what he is and forever will be. Our prince, our black shining prince who did not hesitate to die because he loved us so.